To discuss the impact of war on the environment, let's speak to Dutch environmentalist Alexander Verbeek. He joins us from Ottawa in Canada. Alexander, welcome to this News Hour. At this stage, it's
Hi.
really difficult to actually separate the human cost and environmental cost because they're really one and the same at this point in the climate crisis. What's the immediate impact this latest war is going to have on the climate crisis?
Yeah, well, it's clear that all the attention now goes naturally to the victims that we daily see on television. So it's fair enough that that gets most attention. But indeed, as you just said, there will be a huge impact on climate change as well. Because look, for instance, at Western Europe at this moment, it's scrambling to get its energy, and of course, people are pushing to get more renewables. But in the short term, it is very likely that the use of fossil fuels will increase, and only in the longer term we will see a reduction and an increased movement towards renewables, also to become more independent of countries that are delivering the fossil fuels. But I think there's more in general terms, you should also look at the use of fossil fuels by the military. And the example that was briefly given of the United States, which is often mentioned because the United States is so open about how much they use, and therefore there's more information. That's where the United States is so often mentioned in this. But we talk about all the use of fossil fuels and all the CO2 emissions that come from the US military. That is equal to 250 million cars driving for a full year. Mm-hmm. Or in other words, it is more than all the emissions of a country like Sweden or a country like Switzerland. So that gives an impression of the military of only one country, of course, the most armed country in the world. So they will be the highest. But still, these are huge impacts that we're talking about. And on top of that, there's, of course, landmines and other remnants of war and toxic chemicals that stay behind and that will have an impact on the environment as well as on the health of the people.
Yeah, so many factors at play here. Investigators in Ukraine are looking into war crimes allegedly committed by Russia against people there. But because of the environmental damage in Ukraine, could at this point we even see charges of ecocide?
I would say that's too soon to tell, and I'm not an expert on the human rights crimes, but I would say from the pictures we saw in Bucha, etc., there's certainly a lot of concern, a lot of reason to investigate that, and that is happening. On the ecocide, you would use that word when you deliberately are really destroying the environment. Let's say if you would deliberately pump oil in the water system or those kind of things. I'm not aware that is taking place, but that doesn't mean that the impact of the Russian invasion, the war that's taking place now in Ukraine, that it will have a huge impact on the environment. Of course, right now, as the pictures you just show a destroyed environment, mm-hmm. and there will be much more than that, of course. But also in the long term, all these toxic materials that remain in the environment, that will impact the environment itself. It will impact the health of the population that will live there. And mm-hmm. every war, history teaches us, every war ends, which is always difficult to imagine once you're in a war. But someday this war will end. And then the damage that has been caused in the environment will keep on fighting against the people.
Okay, Alexander Verbeek, appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.